Hello to my wolf pack. It's Charlie Black 20 back again. And I apologize if I'm clearing my throat a lot or my voice is a little gravelly. I have a bit of a sore throat. But today I'm going to be doing part one of a series of videos that will be covering the real life events of the 1972 Uruguayan Flight 571 plane crash in the Andes Mountains. And using the information from documentaries, a lot of people's research, and especially the book from 1974, Alive, by Piers Paul Reed. That was also made into a movie in 1993, starring Ethan Hawke, and is being made into another movie on January 4th, coming out on January 4th on Netflix, called Society of the Snow, which I am most certainly going to watch. Now, a little background before we go straight into it. This is a story of bitterness, hope, faith, despair, survival. There are no villains. There are a few heroes, but all are incredible stories, individually and a group. So, I give my utmost respect to those who had to participate, had to go through, endure what they went through, while also understanding that they now have lived and continue to live full lives, those that made it. Now, the background of this is that in 1972, South America, this Uruguayan rugby team called the Old Christians had a match against a English rugby team in Chile, Santiago, Chile. So they decided to take the cheapest way possible to get there, which was to charter a military plane from their country called Uruguayan Flight 571. And this type of plane did not have a good safety record. About a third of the planes of that model had crashed. So, not a great safety record. None of these people getting on board really knew that. You had 5 crew members and 40 passengers. The majority of them were the Old Christians rugby team, but to save costs, they also, when there were extra seats available, they offered friends and other family to come with them so they could, spread out the money that it would cost. So, 40 passengers, 5 crew, set off, I believe, October 11th, 1972, to head to Chile, but due to bad weather, the pilots had to make an emergency stop in Argentina. And this upset the rugby players, who were really looking forward to this match. They were also looking forward to cheap goods in Chile. And so the next day, they took off October 12th. And so on October 13th, Friday, October 13th, the pilots were under a lot of pressure, both politically and socially. So politically, the Argentinians had a law that prohibited foreign military planes, from staying on Argentinian soil for more than 24 hours. And there was also a lot of social pressure from the team on the pilots, calling them cowards, saying putting pressure on them that they needed to get to this match, that the pilots were being way too cautious. So the 2 pilots, Lieutenant Colonel LaGuara and pilot Fernandez, Ferradas, sorry. They talk with a few pilots that come in who tell them, listen, our planes barely made it over, but yours are much more sophisticated, so I think you could probably make it, even if you go straight over the Andes. So the pilots, they decide they're going to fly that day in the afternoon, which is the worst time, apparently, because the warm air rises. At the same time, cold air is coming down, so the turbulence is horrible. But they decide that they're going to take a safer route. Instead of straight over the Andes, they're going to, at the Andes Mountains, they're going to turn south, turn back north, going west, through a pass, Planchon Pass, so that they can avoid some of the worst of the turbulence and get there at a lower altitude. And then when they get to the second pass, they're going to turn north at Curico, so they can head into Santiago, Chile, heading north. Now, based off of a lot of research that has been done by experts and by people at the time, it is believed that the intense fog, the time of day, and the weather messing with the plane instruments and pilot error led to the co-pilot, LaGuardia, turning north way too soon. Going through Planchon Pass should have taken them 11 minutes, and then he would turn north at Curico. But he radioed in after 3 minutes in the Planchon Pass and then turned north. So when they turned north, they headed straight into the middle of the Andes Mountains. So the pilots made a mistake with everything going on around them. And then what follows is that the turbulence is getting bad, but the team is just having a great time. They're throwing the rugby ball. They're joking around. A lot of them are switching seats because some of them want the window seat, all that stuff. And some of the crew are in the back playing a game of cards. And then the plane is descending out of the clouds, out of the fog, and the pilots realize that they are in the mountains. They can see them like so close to their wingtips. They're like, oh my God. And they practically put the plane vertical to go through this little notch in the mountains. Like there's a little notch like this that they're trying to get through, but they don't have enough power. Some of the passengers are now getting scared with all the turbulence. And it happens. The plane hits the mountain. The tail and the right wing are torn off, with several people falling out of the back of the plane. And the pilots are steering it as best they can. Then the left wing gets torn off by another hit, and the fuselage hits this incline and starts to boggin down the side of this mountain and just slides and slides along a natural line before hitting a snowbank that crushes the nose and killing the pilot Ferradas immediately, and mortally wounding LaGuardia, where the instrument panels are just buried into their chests. And this impact sends the seats flying forward, unbolting them all, and passengers are hit, they're injured, glass is flying from the windows, there's oil, gas, fluid. I mean, there is just chaos. The crash itself took seconds. During the crash, the team and everyone around them had started praying, screaming. Only one person managed to get themselves out of their seats before they hit. I believe it was Gustavo Zerbino gets out of his seat belt and grabs the roof, yelling, "Little Jesus, help us! Little Jesus, help us!" Many people are injured in this crash. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they are at 11,500 feet in the Andes Mountains. This was unbelievable to these people. Several of them get out and find themselves waist deep in snow. There is absolute chaos around them. So I'm going to continue this in part 2, where we get into the story of what happens over the next 24 hours, followed by the next 9 to 10 days. So stay tuned for part 2, guys.